Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be amazing for role-playing. It's shaping up to be the ultimate game for all of us gamers who love nothing more than to build a variety of characters, each with their own unique ways of engaging with the world and the storylines. The 50-minute long gameplay demo for Cyberpunk's work in progress has finally dropped, and there are countless awesome things to talk about. But in this video I'm going to focus on what matters the most to us here at FudgeMuppet, and most of you guys watching at home. How good will role-playing be? When I sat down and watched the full demo, I couldn't stop thinking about all the builds I'd be playing in this game, and every minute there was another feature revealed that looked as if it would enhance build potential. So let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. First up, we get a glimpse of the character creation screen, and it's quite clear to see that this goes beyond just cosmetics. We have 5 tabs: the birth record, background check, biometric scan, appearance, and biostats. During the few seconds we see the background check screen, it's hard to say if this is the only page of customization, but what is there is quite promising. If you've seen any of our Fallout 4 builds, or if you've tried to roleplay any character who isn't a soft-spoken, well-mannered war vet, you'll know it's a challenge. It really forces you to suspend your disbelief, especially if you're in the mood for a character with questionable morals. In Cyberpunk 2077, however, we're immediately presented with a variety of options, and what's really great about each of these is that they are important enough events to help define your character, but they're not so specific as to limit your role-playing. You can pick your childhood hero, the first being Johnny Silverhand, the samurai rocker boy, the second being Morgan Blackhand, the solo of fortune, and the third being Saburo Arasaka, the corporate god. I imagine this decision will play a big part in your character's attitudes and aspirations. The rocker boy was your hero? Well, it seems likely that you won't be playing strictly by the rules in your spell in Night City. If you choose Blackhand, you're likely going to be the pragmatic, no bullshit type. And if you choose Arasaka, well, I imagine you'll own Night City by the end of your journey. Additionally, you can pick a defining moment in your past, one that will inevitably play a part in your development throughout the game. The options we see are death of a sibling, ran away from home, and first big kill. And lastly, at least of the options we see here, is the why you would want to come to a place like Night City. You may have unfinished business, you may have an ex-lover in town, or you may have something to prove. The first 2 of those options surely tell us that your decisions here will lead to some unique encounters, and perhaps unique questlines depending on your choices and combination of choices. Operating under the assumption that these 9 options are all we will get in the background check tab, that's still extremely promising. I wouldn't be surprised if additional options are added before we get our hands on the game. But either way, these options plus the various combinations guarantee so much replayability, and that's before we even get into the other areas of customization and role-playing. Compared to serving in the military, going to Vault 111 and being frozen for 200 years, the potential for builds is insane. We then see plenty of appearance options in the biometric scan and appearance tabs. Some standout features include the ability to add mods and wiring to your skin and eyes, which could lead to some seriously cool aesthetics. Hell, even the total absence of body mods and technical enhancements would be really interesting. Imagine making a character who is really skeptical and untrusting of modern tech, one who refuses to allow their body to be fucked with. A playthrough with that character compared to one who uses every enhancement available would be night and day. It would completely overhaul your perception of Night City, both in terms of how you engage with the world, and even literally how your UI and HUD looks. We've talked about stats in detail already, but similar to Fallout's special system, we have 6 primary stats: strength, constitution, intelligence, reflexes, tech, and cool. It also goes without saying that how you spec into each of these will completely change your experience in the world. In a place like Night City, in a cyberpunk future where street cred and aesthetics are everything, choosing to have no points in cool versus all your points in cool will make for 2 night and day playthroughs. The narrator specifically mentions the lack of a class system in the customization menu. That is because there is a fluid class system which you can modify as you progress. We then get into the gameplay, and there are plenty of neat details I may talk about in another video, but for now we will focus purely on the role-playing elements. We get an insight into how you'll live between quests, and right away it's clear that there will probably be an achievement for collecting all of the STDs on offer in this largely unsanitary city. But aside from that, our apartment is decked out with an armory, a wardrobe, bed, and a hub for all your messages, quests, and general info. When equipping V's jacket, we see some of the stats associated with clothing choices. What your build wears will affect your resistances, i.e. physical, thermal, EMP, and chemical, and it will also offer bonuses like increased street cred and leveling speed. Do you opt for ordinary, easy to overlook clothes that make being a thief more profitable? Do you wear clothes that offer lots of street cred to have your name on everyone's lips in Night City? Or do you just dress as a tank so getting shot feels more akin to a prod? What stuck out to me about this sequence was a comment by the narrator who says V's current apartment is located inside a mega building. The mega building is pretty cool, but what's cooler is the fact he said current. This means we will undoubtedly have the option to acquire new real estate throughout the game. If you're role-playing an entrepreneurial moneymaker, a cozy one-bedroom apartment is not going to be good enough. I imagine you'll be living in a mansion on the outskirts of the city, or perhaps the penthouse suite in the tallest building. We soon see the inside of the Ripperdoc surgery, and this acts as one of the many places to upgrade your character. There are vendors and gunsmiths who can sell you or upgrade your already owned equipment and weapons, but Cyberpunk adds another layer of cybernetic implants. I remember buying implants in New Vegas. There were some unique implants like increased movement speed and increased damage against a specific enemy type, but for the most part it was just an increase to your base stats. In New Vegas it was more of a cool added feature, but here in Cyberpunk it's clearly an important part of the game mechanics, and it has so many effects on your experience. The cinematic process is really immersive, but in terms of role-playing it seems like there are so many options, including standard cybernetics and even illegal military-grade cyberware. The implant menu shows us a few things. First, each upgrade costs money, but it also costs humanity. This seems to suggest that getting upgrades works as a double-edged sword. Maybe your senses are superior to someone who is all-natural, but you also run the risk of becoming more machine than man, possibly altering the way you interact with different groups. You may get along well with factions like the Maelstrom Borgs, but be completely shunned by straight-shooting corporate types. We also see firsthand how an upgrade will change the way you perceive the world. With the optical scanner you can now zoom in at will, see your ammo count and interact with tech in ways that were previously impossible. Once again, coming off the back of Fallout 4, it's really refreshing and exciting to see the way dialogue is being handled in this game. Having a voice protagonist isn't always a good thing, but in Cyberpunk it seems like the dialogue options are so much more diverse, that playing different characters is much more viable. The demo makes an effort to show the fact that the option you pick actually matters, as the quest will progress in vastly different ways depending on how you respond to certain criteria. At no point did it feel like your options were yes, no, sarcastic no, or tell me more info. And even then, most of the time saying no in Fallout 4 was just a roundabout way of eventually saying yes. In Michael's recent video on things we'd like to see in The Elder Scrolls 6, he talked extensively about linear quests. He said it would be nice to have a variety of ways to approach one task, allowing you to think outside the box and achieve an outcome that suits your build. Well, in this demo it seems like Cyberpunk 2077 is doing exactly that. We see V decide whether or not to involve the corporate agent in the quest, and when she does go to meet them there are many ways it could unfold. The possibilities seem to multiply every minute. The first choice is whether to involve the agent at all. The second is whether to go in alone or with Jackie as a backup. The third is whether to be passive or whether to attempt to wrench the gun out of the bodyguard's hand. If you were playing a solo mercenary who acts alone and doesn't get pushed around, there's no way in hell you aren't disarming that guard. And if you do, how much will that impact how you proceed? In one moment you can decide between telling the truth, lying, trying to de-escalate the situation, or go aggressive. And it shows why the first-person perspective is so essential to the game. After that, you can then make them an offer, taking their funds for a deal that'll help you infiltrate the enemy HQ. Do you keep the money and steal the goods, or do you trust the corpse? At the next stage, we are given even more choices. Go in guns blazing, take a diplomatic approach, or even start off friendly before turning your guns on them. It all seems like the diplomatic approach is going according to plan, until it turns out that the corporates screwed you over, which is a recurring theme in this city. But it begs the question, throughout all these twists and turns, how differently could the quest have gone? Imagine you didn't meet the corpo agent. You probably could have bought the bot with your own money and walked away with your pistol's safety still switched on. This is only one quest, but so far all signs are pointing to this game being built from the ground up around role-playing freedom. A lot of our hopes for Bethesda's next single-player RPG feels like far cries. Meanwhile, the based boys at CD Projekt Red are delivering on pretty much all fronts. During the conclusion to the quest, just before taking on the boss, we get a bit of info about the gun customization and playstyles. We already saw plenty of potential for cybernetics and aesthetics, but it seems like guns are just as diverse. V finds a gun with epic rarity, and we can see stats like damage per second, accuracy, rate of fire, recoil, spread and range. The narrator then clarifies that weapons are built of modules that allow for deep customization and progression. This way you can be sure to find something that will suit your playstyle. So it seems like weapons can be leveled and upgraded just like the player character. And as for playstyle, we see firsthand that boots on the ground run and gun is not the only way to play. Hacking plays a big part in dealing with foes, and you can easily play the pacifist, shutting down your enemies rather than killing them. Alternatively, as we see from V here, you can focus on mobility and melee weapons. She clings to the walls, pounces with her mantis blades, bounces off of walls, glides from side to side and double jumps. And after a few more dialogue options, we finish the quest with a view over Night City at night. Seeing the game looking so polished is so exciting. I can't wait until this game drops and we can start diving into all the lore, all the secrets, and most importantly, creating the best role-playing builds we can for you guys. If you'd like to see more content and coverage for Cyberpunk, show your support with a like and let us know in the comments. It helps us so much. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Drew and I'll see you next time.